This is the first champion of the big Arcane event, Warwick. I just want to say, he looks incredible. The artwork is gorgeous. Can I go higher in quality? I cannot. Okay, let's go. Sound? Sound. Why do I want sound? He's not gonna say anything. Playstyle aggressive. Play Ice Strike, a damaged enemy. He's a dog! What? They made him a dog? I guess that makes sense. You've dealt damage 12 plus times this game. 3 mana, 4/3. Why? I mean, when I play him in League, I'm like barking and woofing. I guess it makes sense that he's a dog. Okay, you've dealt damage 12 plus time. Jury Rig, Boom Crew Rookie, Clump of Wumps, Get Excited, Some Dredger, Use Cask Salesman, Warwick, Caustic Rift, Campunk Shredder. Okay, so there's no unique new cards. Okay, that kind of sucks. I really hope that going forward, when there's new champions, there's at least 1 or 2 new cards in the package to kind of make it a little more exciting and maybe a little more like cohesive. I don't know what this plays like in game, but you've dealt damage 12 plus times, and then seeing stuff like Jury Rig and Clump of Wumps is a little sus, you know. But that's just me. I don't know how long it takes for them to get the artwork anyway. That might be more than like however long it takes to plan a Warwick. There's a new card, his signature spell, but it's not in here, right? His champion spell? It's not in his deck. Fiddlesticks does have Crowstorm in his deck. He feels slow. Yeah, this feels very slow. But like, I've learned to not look at this at all and just look at the star powers instead, because this doesn't really tell you anything at all. Yeah, that's my only thing right now. I'm a little sad there's no unique card, but you know, we're getting Warwick and his champion spell, I guess. Okay. Okay, so that's a strike where you play him. The hell? Oh, that's a level up? I actually don't really hate that. I mean, we knew that there was going to be a general level up going forward. I mean, so here's the thing, right? I'm gonna be completely honest with you guys. I have a really hard time getting upset with Riot over things they've communicated really well. It's the same with people that are talking about PvP stuff. It's like, at the start of the year, they were very clear that there's not going to be any updates to PvP. So 6 months later, like, as much as I would have liked stuff to be PvP, as much as I would have liked Fiddlesticks to be PvP, they literally said at the start of the year, it's not happening. We can't. Like, right? We don't have the resources for this. I can't get upset with how well they've communicated everything. I invested in the things that they were telling us we're going to get, and we're getting them. So that being said, does it suck that we don't have a VO or a level up animation? Yes. It sucks big time, of course. Like, this is the flavor or like the things that gave Runeterra the flavor that made it so good. But again, they said that this was going to happen. I'm a content creator, so my perspective might be unique on this, but I just like getting content. I'm happy getting content. If I get new cards to play with, that's good enough for me, you know? But yes, can't get upset. Yeah, I can't get upset when they literally pay thousands of dollars to get me to the arcade event in LA. I'm not upset, guys. I'll deal with a Warwick that's a little more silent than he usually is. I will gladly deal with that. But honestly, yeah, no. Here's my take, and I've said this. I don't know. I feel like I've said this 6 months ago. I honestly wish that there were no level up animations at all, and there would just be a card flip. Because if you play so much Path of Champions, it's like, I've seen these animations 20,000 times. So for me, a card flip would be okay. Like the level up animation is always the same. That being said, voice lines is a big miss for me. No voice lines. That does suck. I like that, like, there's always 3 or more different anime or different voice lines where you play a champion, and not having that, yeah, it's unfortunate. One of the things that also gave Path of Champions a lot of flavor was the fact that a lot of cards had interactions with cards that were trash. I'm trying to think of like an example. I think, for example, Tarek has a interaction with Gift Giver. Nobody really plays Tarek, and nobody really plays Gift Giver. So when you hear that, it's like you're experiencing something entirely new, right? Yeah, Yasuo and Yone too. That's another good one. Yeah, Yasuo and Yone, exactly. Nobody plays Yone. So that is a thing that I think made Path of Champions a little bit special. And the fact that it's completely stripped away, yeah, it sucks. Again, though, I said it with Fiddlesticks too. I think Fiddlesticks was a slam dunk. It sucks that there were no voice lines, but at the end of the day, I was just happy to have a new champion to play with, and the playstyle itself was novel enough and unique enough that I really just had a good time with it. Content creator likes getting new content to play with. Big surprise. Okay, so level 2 is 3 mana dog, still 5/4 with quick attack. Wait, did this level 1 have quick attack? Round end, I strike a random damaged enemy. That's the only new part here. Round end, I strike a random damaged enemy. Wait, did the level 1 have quick attack? It didn't. The quick attack is new. Okay, so I'm gonna do the thing that I did with Fiddlesticks as well. I think this will be fine in PvP. Right? Am I coping? Strike it. Okay, no, this needs to go on the stack. I think there are like really small things that are like, yeah, for PvP, this will be fine, but it needs to be like a little easier to react to because we are Runeterra. If this had a play effect, as in like it went on the stack, totally fine. I think it would be perfect even. Every new card has been PvP ready, not gonna lie. I think Fiddlesticks would be awful. I think Fiddlesticks would be unplayable, dude. Fiddlesticks would be so bad in PvP. It's like, you can't put him in PvP because it feels bad. You can't have cards that just obliterate cards from the enemy deck. It would feel horrible, even if it's bad. It doesn't even matter. You can't put it in PvP because it feels bad. But the power level itself, totally fine. Okay. This is really slow. I'm not a huge fan of round end effects, personally. I think round end, we've seen that with Vi too, right? Where they had to change it. I don't love this, but it does make it so that putting items on Warwick becomes a little more powerful. You have strike synergy, maybe. Like if I damage something, I draw a card, whatever that item is called, stuff like that. But also just adding power to Warwick is going to be pretty strong. So you can like kill bigger stuff. Having a really big Warwick is going to be pretty awesome. His art is gorgeous, by the way. Okay. Yeah, the fact it's round end. Oh. Okay, that's the wrong key. Did I miss his champion spell? Let's check if all his stuff is revealed already. Okay, it looks like it is. Okay. So this is a starting deck. We'll go over that again later. Okay, these are the abilities, the powers. So Warwick 1-star, Eternal Hunger 1. Allies have +1/+0 for every 7 times you've dealt damage this game. Okay, so question. If you use Caustic Rift, which I'm pretty sure is in his deck, does that mean if they have 5 units on the board, it's +5? It's 5? That should be 5 instances of damage? Okay. Because I know that Vex is worded slightly differently, I guess. Vex cares about different instances of damage. So if you use the spell for Vex that glooms the entire board, it's still only +1 for her. But for Warwick, that would be like +5 if there are 5 enemies. Okay. Okay. Primal Howl. +1 starting mana. Round start, create a Blood Hunt in hand. Or if you already have one, reduce its cost by 1. Round start. Okay. Is that here? Okay, Blood Hunt. Primal Howl. Okay. Oh, that's from the power. Okay, Warwick's Blood Hunt. 3 mana, fast. Deal 1 to a unit or nexus and 1 to another. Then grant all damaged enemies vulnerable. Is this bad? Like, I didn't want to say it out loud, but this is kind of bad, dude. 3 mana to deal 1 damage twice? That's like the Ziggs Bomb. The 3 mana Ziggs Bomb. Tough is GG. Bro, if they have Tough, you're done. Okay, Loki, you're probably playing big guns on Warwick, right? You're probably playing big guns on Warwick, let's be honest. Yeah, I don't like the vulnerable. He does get quick attack on his level 2, though. Like, this synergizes with his kit really well, though. So I don't want to just completely dismiss it. Reduce cost can be good. That's also true, yeah. So it's always like when you're evaluating Path to Champion stuff, you have to keep in mind there are so many different angles for synergy that something like this is very easy to just completely break. 100%. This is breakable. It's a created card, and it deals damage twice. So spell damage goes hard, discounts on created cards goes hard, Doubling it up, actually it's fast spell, so you can't get like slow and steady. But even that, like doubling it up, it's kind of big. Also, the fact you get it at every round start. So that also means that sorcery is probably really good on him, right? Also, I'm holding this in my hand, but I kind of want to. I got this from Riot Lope, and I love it. This is a pin. I can like put it here, and I can have the OK button. I kind of wish it was the pass button. How cool would it be if this was the pass button? But I love this. I'm so happy with it, dude. It's like such a small thing, but it's amazing. No Rammus in there. Maybe it's foreshadowing. Maybe we're getting Rammus. No, it's sick, dude. If you press it, your life ends. Yeah, I can just put it here, and if I'm depressed, I'll just. So, I feel like so far this is really simple. This is a simple playstyle, but I'm happy to see that we are doing damage matters in a way that you want to deal damage and not necessarily kill something, but you just want to like leave stuff with less than full HP. And that is a playstyle we don't have as far as I know, and it is an important one. It is a playstyle I actually quite enjoy in other PvP games, in other PvP card games. Damage matters? No, okay, so that's a bad way of putting it, I guess. Swain cares about just getting the Nexus low, so he ramps. Swain kind of ramps with the more damage you do to the enemy Nexus, and by doing damage, you start dealing more damage, which is fantastic, which is also a really, really, really clever playstyle. But this is more like, okay, it doesn't matter if I'm killing stuff, I just want to make sure I have Warwick on board, and I want to get stuff low, like as low as possible. Okay, so that is his 1 and 2 star, I think. Yeah. So his 3 star is allies have +1/+0 for every 5 times you've dealt damage this game. Eternal. So this is Eternal Hunger 2, so I don't think they stack. Right? This shouldn't stack. This just gets upgraded, essentially. They replace? Yeah. 3 star, yeah, 3 star never stacks to 1 star, you're right. Yeah, it's always an upgrade. Okay. It's a lot better. 5 times you've dealt damage. So you have 2 from his spell that he's getting from his 2 star. You have stuff like Caustic Rift. I guess that means the Blade's edge power also becomes pretty good. Okay, his 4 star is when an enemy with 2+ health is summoned, deal 1 to it. Oh, that's really, really good, actually. Wow. This is insane. This is very good. The question is, how much does +1 damage matter? It makes it easier for Warwick to kill stuff, right? This deals damage to everything. This deals damage to everything. This deals damage twice. This is whatever. This deals damage. I don't understand Clump of Wumps being in here. So the vulnerable matters because Warwick has quick attack, but nothing else is quick attack. But all your units feel kind of disposable. I guess Jury Rig is in here because you have like the discard stuff, as well as the fact that if your opponent is like attacking with a big dude, you pop out the 1/1, you block them, and now they're damaged. Puff caps count as damage to Nexus? You're telling me you want me to play a 2-mana 2/2 and then play a 1-mana Mushroom Cloud to pray that they draw puff caps? Man, I don't know about that. Sure. It's not like it doesn't synergize in some way, but that's like saying it's like saying when I'm thirsty, I synergize with drinking water. It's like, yeah, I mean, it kind of makes sense, but you know, like we kind of expect it. It doesn't mean it's like the best play you can make, right? I prefer something more juicy. Okay. Mana flow. Game start, get a mana gem. Okay, so this is always the same. I think the only way they've ever changed this was with Kaisa, where it's like get a mana gem and do something on top of that. Yeah, discard fodder is fair, actually. It's probably discard fodder. There are a lot of discard cards. Eternal Hunger 3. This is 6 star. Wait. So this upgrades from 2 star to 3 star? Okay, so this replaces 1 and 3. Allies have +1/+0 for every 3 times you've dealt damage this game. Okay, so it goes from 5 to 3. When an ally kills a unit, heal it fully and grant it +0/+3 and impact. That is honestly, it's really, really good. But it's kind of weird with the units that are in his deck. I would need to see the stars of the stars of discovery, blessings, whatever. Bigger numbers, yeah. So weirdly enough, I think this is actually like this is pretty in flavor for Warwick. Whereas like the more stuff is damaged, the stronger he gets, as well as just enemies being damaged matter. It feels like honestly they kind of nailed the flavor for Warwick. I think this is good. No, I do like it. It does feel very Warwick. It's a bit like convoluted in some ways, and I don't know how much I like 1, 2, and 3 just like overriding each other. But I agree with you guys that it is a very simple playstyle from looking at its surface level, right? It's it feels very beginner friendly, which isn't bad to have. What I'm happy with, like I don't really care if something is difficult to play or like not difficult. Like for example, I think Vi is actually much more fun than people give her credit for. The problem is that if you're making a character like this that everybody's hyped for, I feel like this might not be what people expect because it is really like straightforward. Stop the cap. I think it's cool. Like I don't know. I like having new content. It's probably not something I would play nearly as much as some of my favorite champions like Fiddlesticks, but I'm not unhappy with this. I think it's important to have these type of champions just be accessible. Yeah, easy doesn't have to be boring. I think that's the main thing. My only thing that I don't like is that we don't have any unique cards. Like we have Warwick, we have Champion Spell, but I would like something to really like glue the package together. And I feel like Get Excited, Clump of Wums is not exactly the thing I would get most excited about. It's simpler. We need some simplicity. 20 fiddles would be impossible to develop. Also, it's good for new players. Yeah, so I like unironically. I think it's hella cool. But we need to remember what is the most exciting thing about the new patch is probably going to be that ARCANE prologue they were talking about. I don't know what that means, but there's a good guess that we're getting ARCANE event now this month, and then we're getting another ARCANE event to tie it together next month. So we have a prologue now, and then we'll probably expand on that in 4 weeks from this patch release, which, you know, I think is more important than adding more champions. Fleshing out the adventures, the content, the story mode, I guess that's what we can call it. You have like a button now where you can go through nightmares and like regular play. Fleshing out that stuff is much more exciting to me than new champions. The impact on his 6-star should have been Drain X on... I actually agree. I actually kind of like that. Yeah, I think I like that. So the thing is, right, the impact synergizes with dealing damage, so you proc it again faster, but just having like a Drain 1 from the enemy nexus, like a Mordekaiser effect, would have been sick, right? Like Mordekaiser level 2 is kind of perfect. More continuity with existing champs, definitely agree. Yeah, so again, we have to remember, Runeterra is a smaller team now, and they're doing everything they can. Like, I've seen that firsthand. They are pouring their heart out, and we need to not forget that they're doing a good job based on the cards they were dealt, okay? Like, I get that this might not be what we expected, especially after a Fiddlesticks release. That was like everything we could ask for and more, except the VO. But the fact that we're getting champions and fleshed out new adventures is huge to me. And I don't mind compromising some of this stuff now so that we have more content to play. It's not consumer responsibility to care about how much work is put in. People, I know. And I'm in a unique position because of that, because obviously I like see what's going on with the team a little more than, you know, the regular player. But yeah, I think it's only fair for me to show my perspective to you guys, so you know where I'm coming from. First of all, I don't want to make it seem like I'm just sucking up to Riot 24/7, even though, you know, I kind of am. I spent a lot of money on this game because I love this game. And I'm also very blessed to be a content creator to the point where they invite me to see ARCANE Season 2 early, which was incredible, by the way. It was like one of the most fun weeks I've ever had in my life. But yes, no, I agree. I agree with you guys. I agree. I'm not going to take responsibility for that. I'm not going to say that you guys should feel differently because of it. Yes, you see this. You see Runeterra a year ago, and you're like, okay, yeah, a lot of stuff that we got last year isn't here right now. And I get that. I get that. But I have full faith that whatever is missing will eventually be added as they, you know, stabilize when it comes to revenue and whatnot. Patch Champion has 3 real updates. 1, release. 2, animation speed up. 3, starring down, hopefully. The rest is just random noise anyways. Yeah, so I kind of, yeah, I agree. So animation speed up is not really what I expected. I'm pretty excited to get the 1.5 times speed, but I would have liked the option to have animation level ups completely skipped as well as just animations being smoother. But that's a whole other piece, man. That takes so much more work. So I hope the animation speedup is a temporary fix, even though I kind of doubt it. Why would you star down harder challenge runs? That's really it. Just more content. Okay, so my final rating on Warwick, I'm just gonna do this thing where I give it like a 1 to 10. Okay, I'm gonna be completely honest. What is a 10 out of 10 for me in Arcane, in Path of Champions? I think a 10 out of 10 for me is Nora. A 10 out of 10 for me is Nora, and here's why. I think Nora's playstyle is exciting, it's fun, it's always different, and she is not so blatantly powerful that you steamroll everything. Nora, to me, is a perfect 10 out of 10, even though she's one of probably the worst 6 stars in the game. What is Fiddlesticks to me? Fiddlesticks to me is a 9 out of 10. He's like an easy 10 out of 10, but there are things that are missing, like the VO. It's hard to look past that, right? So Fiddlesticks is a 9 out of 10. I love Fiddle. I think the release, the hype that the spoiler season generated, the song we got, I think they blew it out of the park. Everything was perfection. If we got that type of reveal season, when we still had like the full expansions a year ago, I think I would have lost my mind. I think I would have just been like a puddle from hype. Everything was perfect. He is very powerful. You kind of just steamroll adventures. Sometimes it's a bit of like non-content because it's so easy. And the missing VO. So 9 out of 10 for Fiddlestick. What is a 1 out of 10? A 1 out of 10 for me is probably Jinx. Nah, that's not quite a 1. Not quite a 1 out of 10. I think Jinx would be like a 2 or 3 out of 10 because she makes it way too easy, and I think her level 6 is unexciting. Darius? So Darius has like some RNG as well, which I really like. I like seeing different cards. I think that's what makes Path of Champions exciting. Take it back? No. I don't like Jinx in Path of Champions. I don't think I have a single Jinx video on my channel because I think it's just too easy. And it doesn't really like do anything worthwhile or something that I get like excited about. Ornn? Yeah, I'm trying to get from... Okay, hold on. Yeah, no, I'm trying to look at a 6-star, so it's like easier. I think Vi is like pretty low on the list. Vayne. Yeah, I think Vayne. I think Vayne is a 1 out of 10 for me, yeah. Yeah, I think that's a 1. Vayne. Vayne is probably like middle of the pack when it comes strength-wise. I don't think she's completely unplayable. I also don't think she's extremely strong, but her effect is so boring. It's just doing more of the same, but slightly stronger. Yeah, I think Vayne is a 1 out of 10. Okay, so now that we've decided on what a 10 out of 10 is and what a 1 out of 10 is, I think I would rate Warwick like a 4 or 5 out of 10. Yeah, I think I would rate this a 4 or 5. I'm leaning towards 4. I think I would say 4 out of 10. Also, that's another thing with Fiddlesticks, right? He has a lot of unique cards that are only available to him. Warwick doesn't have that. If Warwick had some unique cards, even if it was 1 or 2 unique cards that we haven't seen before, I think it would be like a 7 or 8. Rate Jhin? I think Jhin is really fun, actually. I think Jhin as 3-star is like an 8, 7 or 8. It's time for a tier list. Yeah, I'm going to be working on a tier list. The reason for that is because I want to put a tier list in my Path of Champion guide. I can't really give too much context on it because I don't have all champions level 6. So a lot of it will just be what I see from gameplay and what I hear from others. I thought Warwick would be broken, but what is this? I think those kind of comments were understandable because his package does look that way, so I don't blame you at all, but we can't really say anything until we play it. It's the same thing with Vi. Vi looked really lame in my opinion, but then I started playing her, and I was like, this is actually much more fun than I thought it was going to be because drawing cards is fun. With Warwick, what you're likely going to try to do is just ping for 1 everywhere. You just want to ping, ping, ping to activate Eternal Hunger, get your units to higher attack, and so Warwick can pick off stuff. So here's what I would have liked, right? Here's what I would have liked. For some champions here, I would have liked payoff for damaging stuff like Warwick has. Warwick directly wants enemies to be damaged. Play, I strike a damaged enemy. Round end, I strike a random damaged enemy. Where else do you see any type of synergy with damaged enemies? There isn't any. And that's why I would have liked 2 cards as payoff. Like cut this garbage clump of wumps, cut Get Excited, and add 2 cards that say like, when play, if there is a damaged enemy, draw 2 cards. It could be as simple as that. That is the simplest example I can possibly give. That is something I would like to see. Because even if it's simple, it's like, okay, now I know what I'm playing for. Now I know that this playstyle is what I'm honing in on. This is what I'm trying to do all game. And You know what? Synergy feels good. What is the one reason that we all play roguelike deck builders? To have a build that you synergize with each other and to completely just like skyrocket in power level because your deck functions so well together. It's the same when we played Vex. In the run that I uploaded last week on YouTube, I cut every single unit in my deck except the champions because you can't, and all I had was spells. And that was like some of the most fun I've had, just because my deck came together so well, and all the synergy was just perfect. I had a group shot that dealt like 7 damage. And you know what? That was better than like 20 other runs I had because it just, again, synergy. Everything just worked together perfectly. Play Warwick with Time Bomb? Oh my god, I would love to. I would love to. 2 mana, 2/1. Play strike a non-damage unit. See, even that's also really good. Yeah, I agree. Just a card that enables synergy. Yeah. I mean, we kind of have that. Like, we do have the Campunk Shredder, Caustic Rift, which do make it so that enemies are damaged. But I think there's literally like cards in other PvP games that just say like, for every damaged enemy or for every damaged ally, draw a card. Like, let me play Caustic Rift and then play my 1 mana 2/1 that draws a card for every damaged enemy. Like, done. So much for the enabling. No, you're right. You're right. But I see powers are always there, so you're always playing for them. The difference between powers and the cards in your deck is that the powers are always there, they're always active, and no matter what action you take, you will either activate that power or not. But playing a card is a completely different story. You don't know when you can play them, you're looking for the most optimal time to play them. So if I had a 3 mana card that, or a 1 mana card that says draw a card for every damaged enemy, I'm going to try to play it when there are a lot of damaged enemies. Sometimes you get 1 card, sometimes you get 5 cards, and then, you know, you get that dopamine rush. Perfect. Is that Lord Broadmain? There you go. Yeah. Just something that works with damaged enemies. Yeah. Again, this is just like wishful thinking. I know that if the team commissions artwork like this, it's possible that they don't have like other cards to go with that. So, yeah. It's hard to just create something from nothing, and otherwise this would have to be delayed by like a couple of months, which I'm not entirely against. But as a content creator, getting content is good. Do you think Warwick Constellation is good or bad? I think it's middle of the pack. It's hard to say without playing it. Like, it's entirely possible that this right here, the Eternal Hunger, this is especially rough to guess how strong it's going to be without actually playing it, because I don't know how hard it really is to deal damage 5 times. It might be that Primal Howl just makes it much easier than I think it was going to be. But for example, if you have a good deck that activates this and you find Crush as a power, suddenly this is like the best power in the game. But yeah, the question is how good of a payoff is just getting 1 attack for damaging the enemies 5 times. Or yourself, actually. Maybe something like deal 3 to a unit. If it's damaged, drain 3 instead. That's really cool. I like that. Yeah, I really like that. Anyway, it feels kind of weird criticizing it like that when the card just got released and I haven't even played with it yet. But this is just like my perspective, looking at other card games and looking at what you guys are saying in the chat and why you might not like this as much as you thought you would. It's like, what could have happened to make this more exciting? Separate question, did you meet anyone cool in LA from content creators? So, I have this thing. Everybody got one of these. My ticket was in here for the show, for the screening, and everybody was kind of walking around with these, and I didn't really recognize that many names. But here's why, right? A lot of creators had +1s. A lot of creators had guests with them. So just like me, I had a guest that doesn't really play Runeterra, plays League a lot, has seen ARCANE, but that's not a name anyone would recognize. And I think it was the same for like a lot of people there, where they just had a guest, and I'm like, okay, who's this? Is this creator or is this the guest? For example, I was taking the shuttle to the event, and there were 2 girls, and I had never seen them. Turns out they were VTubers, or one of them was a VTuber with like, I don't know, 1 million followers or something. I don't know. It's like I don't really watch VTubers. So I found out later, right? You wouldn't even know what a VTuber looks like. I bet 1k coins with my friend on Warwick having lifesteal. Bye to that, I guess. There's no, like, Warwick is such a, lifesteal makes sense on Warwick, but lifesteal itself is such like a game breaking and boring keyword that I think they're pretty careful with that. Aatrox life, it's capped. Like, it's just 2. It's not really lifesteal. Lifesteal's the reason Morgana's S tier. Yep. Agreed. Which is why I think it's boring. I'm a degen, which VTuber was. I think her name was Vienna. If I'm saying that right. The thing Path to Champion needs most is more adventures. It's really easy to just have nothing to do, especially with the new Nightmare section. More adventures could be very exciting. I agree. Yeah, I think that's number 1, actually. Why does it look like you do something illegal for a living? What do you mean illegal, man? I dressed up for the event. I had to. Very happy one of my favorite fellas finally made it into LOR, but dude, no voice lines, level up, or support cards. It's just not the same and it feels hollow. I would much rather less new champs per year so each one of them can meet the quality LOR standard we all fell in love with. Not to mention nearly half of the LOR roster isn't even in Path to Champions yet. Let me zoom in. And plenty that don't have full 6 bar yet. I'm perfectly satisfied with getting more of that content while waiting longer for brand new stuff if it means I can be the same level of polish. I love LOR so much and have been an advent Path Champion player since its lab days. I want nothing more than to see it succeed, and just sucks to see the team forced to constantly cut corners and make sacrifices because they're operating on a shoestring budget. Just for LOR. Yeah, I couldn't have said it better myself. I don't, like, this is not as much of a deal breaker for me, because for me, like, new content is just good to have. Support card is, for my personal excitement, kind of sucks. I also really, I voice lines and support cards are like the big ones. That, again, the thing is, what has gone wrong with LOR? The monetization. It's been bad. It's been dog shit. I think even the entire LOR team agrees right now, if they had a chance to do things differently, they would have. And then we'd live in the perfect world where we had a PvP mode and a PvE mode, and they would both get constant, polished updates. That's just not the reality we're in right now. And it's because they have to make sacrifices because they're operating on a shoestring budget. That's still better than the game getting shut down, which from any other business perspective, it probably would have. I'll take this over my favorite game not being playable anymore. You can't blame players for not spending money on the fact that there was nothing to spend money on. There is actual stuff to spend money on now, but unfortunately, because of the cut in budget, because they weren't selling anything before, there is some content that is missing, and that sucks. Unfortunately, this is what happens when a card game doesn't nickel and dime its player base from minute 1. Yes, agreed. Lesser releases with same quality would be a better approach. It's just not sustainable long term. No, that's not true. Lesser releases is not sustainable. Like, this is how a business operates. And I kind of wish people would understand that, because if you wait too long with releasing content, players leave. If there is nothing to buy, if there is nothing new to play, why would I stick around? Like, we have to remember, we are the minority. This is the vocal minority. It always is. Less content kills engagement. Exactly. So I completely understand that this is a thing that's happening, and I just hope that these are the kind of releases that will fund the future releases. I would be more concerned about this type of release if they hadn't gone back and improved prior champions. I just hope they get the means to do that. Yeah. No, of course. And there are still a bunch of champions in the game that don't have constellations. There's a bunch of champions that aren't even in the game right now, and they're also coming. 4 new champions in 3 months is crazy. They should have done 1 or 2. If the quality drop is this significant, that will just get flamed all the time. The thing is, even if they did 2, there's no guarantee that they would have voice lines. There's clearly like more going on behind the scenes. I don't know what that is. They could release 4, they could release 15, they could release 1, and it would have been the same story. I agree there. I definitely think just making money for now, for long-term growth, is important. I think from a business perspective, yes. Something is just off, man, more than we know. No, I'm sorry, I don't think so. It's not that something is, it's like, people are making it sound like there's something nefarious going on behind the scenes. This is a team that is absolutely pouring their heart out for Runeterra. They are doing everything they can after the game has failed over and over and over from PvP just lacking monetization and honestly having a dogshit business model. That's just a fact. And now they're trying to turn that around by focusing on PvE with this game, and they're doing everything they can to just make some money to actually make it sustainable for them. And this is what that looks like for now. And I can't get upset at that. Like, I understand as a regular, like, trust me, I'm not, this is my perspective. I'm not blaming anyone. If you're a big Warwick fan, like I'm a big Fiddlesticks fan, it sucks that there's no level up or voice lines or like new supported cards. It really, like, it sucks. It really does. But if you look at everything that's been going on in the past year, I just get why it's happening. And I hope that by doing it like this, they have a way to turn that around in the future. And I know that they do. Because honestly, the game is fun to play. Like, the gameplay itself is fantastic. It's probably one of the best on the market. Like, and I don't think it's close either. Constant updates, like consistent monthly updates on a roguelike deck builder is almost unheard of. What other game does that? I can't think of a single game that actually does it like that. If I'm wrong on that, somebody can correct me. But this is the way that they are going to make the money to have a different type of release in the future. There's no unique mechanics as well, but there was with Fiddlesticks. And I don't think we should expect new mechanics every single time. I think that's totally fine. I think unique mechanics are good if they actually change the gameplay in a meaningful way and if it makes sense. I think for Warwick, damaging units, having them bleeding, as like the Warwick thing, and then Warwick getting stronger because of it is perfectly thematic. It's just please don't call it lazy. Like, lazy is the most disgusting word you can ever say about something like that. They didn't even give Warwick a lifesteal. Oh, that's why it was lazy, because he doesn't have the lifesteal keyword. No, you're right. My bad, dude. You're right. If he had lifesteal, this would have been a successful release. Poorly, yeah. All right. It's reminding me of what people said for LeBlanc. Yeah. Yeah. All right. Again, I'm for me this is a 4 out of 10. That, like, usually when I rate something like that, it gets increased by at least a couple of points when I'm playing. But I'm also being realistic. It's releases like this that are simpler, that are probably made for like maybe a different player base, that makes us appreciate the champions like Fiddlesticks, right? Fiddlesticks was the perfect release. So having Warwick follow a release like Fiddlesticks, yeah, I get it. Okay, I say the perfect release. There were some things missing, but as far as like what they could do, I think they did it really well either way.